You ever notice how some women just seem to pull back from the world in ways that aren't obvious at first? Like they're there, but not fully there. Today we're breaking down 4 behavioral patterns that surface when a woman hasn't had real intimacy in a while. And stick around for the last one, because it flips the whole dynamic on its head. It's the difference between being the guy she texts when she's bored and the one she actually wants around. Alright, so first up, she overcompensates with hyper-independence. This one's tricky because it looks like strength on the surface. She'll insist she doesn't need help with anything. Car making a weird noise. She's already watching YouTube tutorials, heavy boxes. She's got it. Emotionally, though, this is often a defense mechanism. When physical and emotional closeness has been missing for too long, the brain adapts by convincing itself that connection isn't necessary. She might say things like, "I'm just better off alone," or "I don't really have time for dating right now." But here's what most guys miss. She's not testing whether you'll force your way in. She's watching whether you respect the boundary while still being present. The move isn't to argue with her independence, it's to acknowledge it without being pushed away by it. Something like, "You handle a lot on your own." That probably gets exhausting, though. That lands completely different than trying to be her hero. Second pattern, she references physical touch in conversation, but doesn't initiate it. This is subtle. She might talk about how good a massage felt or mention that she misses having someone to cuddle with during movies. She brings up touch conceptually, but there's this gap between talking about it and doing it. It's like her mind is reminding her body what it's missing. The neuroscience here is real. Skin hunger doesn't just make people want touch. It makes them hyper-aware of its absence, so she'll notice when you don't touch her. She'll notice when you do. The calibration matters. If you go 0 to 60, you blow the whole thing. But if you never bridge that gap between conversation and action, you become another guy who talks a good game. The sweet spot is casual, sustained contact, hand on her back when you walk through a door, brief touch on her hand when she makes you laugh. Nothing that feels like a move, everything that feels like a reflex. Third thing, she mirrors your energy with a slight delay. This is where observation matters. When attraction is present, but buried under layers of withdrawal, you'll see her copy your posture a few seconds after you shift. You lean back in your chair. She does too. You pick up your drink. She reaches for hers. It's unconscious mimicry, and it happens because her brain is trying to re-establish that sync that comes naturally when people are genuinely connected. The delay is the tell. Someone who's fully present mirrors immediately. Someone who's been isolated takes longer to drop back into that rhythm. What you do with this matters. Don't call attention to it, just notice it. Let it build. The more comfortable she gets, the shorter that delay becomes. When it disappears entirely, you're no longer dealing with someone who's guarding against intimacy, you're dealing with someone who's allowing it. Now the fourth one, this is where everything changes. She starts initiating mundane proximity, not dates, not late-night texts, just being near you. She'll show up where you already are. She'll ask what you're doing Saturday afternoon. Not because she wants to make plans, but because she's hoping you'll suggest something. She'll sit closer than necessary when there's plenty of room. This is different from the touch thing we talked about earlier. This is about physical space and presence. It's the most vulnerable signal because it requires her to make the first move without knowing if you'll meet her there. The mistake most guys make is treating this as the finish line, like now that she's close, they can escalate fast. Look, the whole point here isn't to game anyone or run some playbook. These patterns exist because isolation leaves marks, and connection is how those marks heal. The guy who recognizes these signs and responds with patience rather than strategy is the guy who actually gets through. Not because he cracked a code, because he saw a person and treated her like one. That's the real takeaway. Everything else is just details.